I'll come back to this in the interactive session. The coming soon sort of confuses people. This was a project that we put in cold storage about 4 years back. That's why the graphics suck and it looks so old. But I'll tell you why this didn't work out. We wanted to make the first Pakistani game with localized content for the PC. But because of piracy and lack of a sales model, we had to go through a sponsorship model. One of the telco sponsors pulled out at the 11th hour due to a management change. And we were just stuck with a 90% complete game without launching it. Just about the industry, and a lot of you people asking why animation doesn't take place in Pakistan, why large games are not made, and all. How many people play games regularly in this audience? Most of you are students. A lot of people ask me why can't we make games like GTA, like Need for Speed, like all the games that we usually play. So, just to give you an idea of the scale of the successful companies out there and how big the industry is. So, most of you must be aware of Warcraft and all the other games that Activision Blizzard makes. They've got 7,000 people and they make $5 billion annually out of their game titles. Here's another open source community that not. How many of you have heard of IROP? Okay. There are 40 million people in this, and they earn $18 billion every year. And this is the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. We've got 40 million people who are in our workforce. I wonder what the clapping is about, because it's basically to put us to shame that we're 40 million and our export revenue is $18 billion and a company with 7,000 people makes 30% of our revenue. And Nintendo, which makes the Wii and makes Mario and multiple titles, earns as much as Pakistan with 4,000 people. Nokia, which we all are aware of, earns 3 times as much as us, and the country they operate in has a population which is less than Lahore. So that's the scale that we're talking about. Companies who are successful in mobile as well as games, that's the kind of money they earn. And as far as PC and console games that we're all aware of, so Halo 3 was the first mega success with 170 million. Grand Theft Auto 4 broke that with 310. Modern Warfare 2 last year, 410 million. And these, as far as the figures are concerned, I know when we're talking of millions, it gets kind of crazy, but these are impressive figures. But when I tell you that these were figures for the first 24 hours of sales, first day sales, $410 million. It's just mind-blowing. Avatar, which everybody is aware of, it cost about a little over 300 million to make, and it's earning 1.5 billion going on right now. Rupees 1.26 crore, just to give a local idea. Mario, the franchise, the highest, most successful game franchise ever, multiple titles, obviously they've sold 220 million copies. Doom, which was sort of the foundation of PC gaming, at that time it just cost 1.6 crore. This is the budget of a TV commercial that Allpers makes right now. That's how much it cost at that time. GTA 4 cost $100 million with a team size of between 200 to 300 people to make it for over 3 years. That's what it takes to make a game now, which is a AAA title. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, the most expensive film made, $300 million. So gaming genuinely has sort of overtaken film and Hollywood as far as scale and as far as revenue is concerned. I don't mean to depress you, I'm just showing you how good it can get, but this market is beyond us. These are projects at scales that we cannot pull off in the next 5 years at least. I'm not going to go through a lot of this because the more relevant people have already gone through these figures. The Android example was really relevant. Everyone's thought about the iPhone, but it's the new markets like BlackBerry, and Android, which really have the opportunity. That's where the vacuum is, because not a lot of people are concentrating on that. And these are the sort of people that we want to look at. And obviously, these companies are similar examples, but one man can make a difference, that cheesy line. That's true these days. It's a magical time we're living in. You don't need to have a company of 50 people to make a difference. It can be one person in their spare time, nights and weekends, who can have a good idea, a game or an application. Both these guys did this part-time while having full-time jobs. This was one of the first success stories, $2 million and counting. Ethan Nicholas used to babysit his child with one hand in his lap while coding, typical legend. So iPhone developer quits day job after iShoot hits #1. We need one story like this in Pakistan, and that will just open the floodgates for everybody else. And these are the platforms that offer you a democratic, open-gated community. You don't need to go through anybody. You don't need to talk to Telenor or Mobilink to launch a game. You don't need to talk to a publisher. Nobody will tell you you're in Pakistan. It doesn't matter. You're as good as that person sitting in New York who earned $1 million out of 3 weeks worth of work on his game. Facebook is 6 years old. Trango is 6 years old. They started roughly with the same amount of seed funding that we did, under $1 million. And they have 400 million users right now, $1 billion of revenue. They're worth 15 billion. Zynga, Farmville, Mafia Wars. Zynga is the maker of those games. They're obviously a subculture of Facebook companies like them. Their worth is $4 billion right now. In 3 years, their revenue is 270 million per annum. 1.3 million people per day play these games. I have nothing against him. How many of you are Mobilink users here? That's less than I expected. How many of you are Telenor users? Okay. How many of you ever bought a Jazz connection because Ali Zafar or Shan told you to do it? And how many of the Telenor people got depressed and left their connection and went to Jazz because he'd been broken for? How many of you are shocked at this figure? This is how much he's paid per annum. The trophy that was won over from Telenor. Sacrificing. Most large corporates are lazy cowards because the branding team, I have nothing against them. We work with Telenor, we work with Mobilink sometimes when we really want to torture ourselves. It's about the quarter, it's about the bottom line of Q2. What do I need to do and save my job and get my yearly bonus? They're not going to change the world, they're not going to change Pakistan. There's going to be companies like these. One guy with 6 students, 2 friends sitting on the weekend. When you hit